What's up, gamers? The Red Dragon here, and we are checking out the latest headline news from the gaming and tech world. And this story that I'm about to give to you, it's kind of scary in a way, and it implements a lot of things from gaming and war games into real war. So this story comes from a person by the name of David Musgrave. He's a manager at the U.S. Army's Armament Research, Development, and Engineering Center in New Jersey. And I mean, this guy is not just some no-name off the street. He's deeply embedded into the Army, and he's also the head development software person for the M109 Paladin and the U.S. Army's 155 millimeter howitzer. So this guy, he definitely has some connections, and he has a vision for the future with U.S. soldiers, because one of his pastimes is also playing video games. And so he's taken things that he sees in the video game world, things that hook players in, that keep them striving to keep on playing, to keep getting better, and he's going to try to somehow incorporate this into the Army. At least he's going to offer up this idea. And so here's what he says. He says U.S. soldiers could go into battle wearing Google Glasses. Now, I talked a little bit about Google Glasses a couple of months ago, and anyway, if you haven't heard about this, I would recommend that you go search this, because it's pretty cool technology. It's glasses that you wear, and you can see what's happening in the real world, but it also incorporates things on the screen that, like, maybe it's a GPS telling you where to go or where to turn, so you don't have to look down at your phone or take your eyes off of where you're going. It's just like you see in the movies. It's just information up on the screen. So he says U.S. soldiers could go into battle wearing these type of glasses that gives them all kinds of information, including changing or warning of exhaustion levels by changing the tint color from green to yellow to red, depending on, I guess, how tired they are, which I don't see how this makes a lot of sense, because who needs a pair of glasses to tell them how tired they are? Unless this information is being sent to a command center post somewhere where they can keep an eye on everybody to see how everyone's doing. Maybe that's what he meant by this. But he also mentions leaderboards. You know, in games that we play, Call of Duty or Battlefield, there's always a leaderboard that you can go search, see where you rank according to other players, depending on the kills from a vehicle or how well you've done, maybe reviving teammates or something else. So he says implement this into the real world to get U.S. soldiers, I guess, energized about doing their job and doing it well. He envisions tank commanders and helicopter pilots being able to see a kill ratio for how many enemy vehicles they've destroyed compared to the rest of their unit, or even to the rest of the entire army. And he goes on to talk about you know, soldiers, and they could also implement it into the medic field to seeing how you compare, I guess, to helping other soldiers, how many you've helped compared to everybody else. So it's kind of like implementing a leaderboard into real war. And you know, let me go on to, before I start getting off on what I think about all this. He goes on to mention other things. He said he got the idea for trying to pick up all this data and put it together from Mass Effect, or games like Mass Effect from BioWare, where I've kind of mentioned this before, where game developers, they have all this information at their disposal. They know what weapons people are picking up and playing with. They know what class they're playing with. They know what level they stopped at in the game, whether they finished the level or not. So they can get all this information and put that towards the next game that they come out with. So they say, okay, well, this didn't work. Enough people didn't use this or implement this, so we're not going to put it in here or whatever. So he said he took this idea and thought that it would be great to do it with weapons. So you put, I guess, computer chips on the weapons to keep track of weapon malfunctions, because in the field, if a weapon malfunctions, sometimes by the time they get back to base, they may not know exactly what happened to cause the weapon to malfunction. Maybe it was the temperature, maybe it was all this other stuff that they can't, as a soldier, get that information for. But if they had a computer chip on board, then maybe they could gather all this information from all these different weapons out on the field and see what's causing them to malfunction and not to work. So I like that idea. I like being able to, gather data in order to see, why something's not working, or try to fix that so that you can have more reliable weapons in the field or something if you're going to do war. But this idea of trying to implement a leaderboard into real war, I think is just to no other. I don't know any other way to put it, but I think it's just kind of sick to say that, hey, you're going to try to see how many more kills you can get from somebody else. I mean, we're not shooting pixels here. These are real people. These are real lives. And I thought the whole goal of the military, was to take care of your fellow soldiers who are out there on the field, and it's supposed to be very much a team effort and not, somebody, trying to play for themselves and trying to get the most out of it. I don't know. I just think it's a really screwed up idea to try to put some sort of leaderboard on killing other people. I think it's just a very sick and demented idea, and I don't like it whatsoever. I mean, war and video games, they are nothing alike. And it kills me whenever I see, because I've been doing YouTube for a long time, and occasionally, not all the time, and it's a very, very minority group, I think, that does this, but I'll see people who are like, hey, I'm always playing as a sniper, and when I get old enough, I'm joining the army to go, become a sniper. And it's like, okay, just because you can do it in a video game does not mean that you can go do it in real life. You may want to. I mean, hell, some people may go off and do it, but I don't know. I don't know how. I guess people don't actually. I mean, you watch movies, you watch video games, and I would hope that most people are smart and intelligent enough to realize that what you see on screen, like the glorifying of war, is nothing compared to seeing it in real life. Nothing compared to, picking up your friend with his guts hanging out and you're having to carry him back, hoping that he hangs on for dear life. And when you lose that person, it's not just somebody else spawning in with you. It's you've lost a friend. Somebody has lost a son or a daughter, or, cousins, and it just affects so many people every time a life is lost. And so this idea that a death is nothing more than a point, I don't think it's a good idea at all. So that's just my take on this. And I mean, he goes on to say, he says this is a quote from this Musgrave guy. He says, the same energy and pride that goes into climbing the rankings of Call of Duty multiplayer could be turned towards higher soldier performance, whether that entails killing tanks, delivering fuel, or saving lives. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll also leave a link to this story, and I also posted it on the front page of VGN, so you can go and check out the story for yourself. Let me know what you think. There are actually some really good comments at the bottom of this story. I'll read a couple here. The top one that I see is, oh, now our snipers will start being ridiculed by our own soldiers for camping. There was another one, let me see where it says here. Another person wrote, is teabagging a fallen enemy against the Geneva Convention? And someone else wrote, they'll soon find out that 360 no-scopes are impossible. So post below, let me know what you think about this story and the Army's idea. And of course, I want to make it clear that this is just a guy who, he's in engineering, he's in research development. This is not something that the U.S. has accepted or is going to implement. They said even if they decide to implement it, it's still probably a decade at least away from doing this. But I just think it's a bad idea all the way around. So post below, let me know what you think about this, and be sure that you give me a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already to get the latest information on what's happening in the gaming and tech world. Stay tuned for VGN, videogamesandnews.com. That does it for me, The Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.